So I'm going to talk about the rumors of the Resident Evil 0 and 1 remakes. So I just played through both of the games recently. Of course, Resident Evil 1 remake is good. I don't really like 0. It's very bloated. There's a lot of stuff about it that just doesn't need to be in there, like the dropping of the items, picking them back up, um, controlling both characters. It's a nice try, but I don't really care for it. A lot of the environments are stale. They don't really have oomph to them as to where Resident Evil 1 remake. There's a lot of contrast between like browns and then you have your lush vegetation and stuff when you're out in the forest. The atmosphere is very rich. Although Zero is a very good looking game, I just wasn't blown away by any of the environments for the most part. It was kind of just there. The story's not good. Um, and there's a lot of like loose ends, like how is Rebecca coming in contact with other Bravo members, and then in remake one, they're dead in the mansion. Like, why are they all the way down in the lab and stuff like that? I do like that there are certain areas from like Resident Evil 2. It seemed like some from 3, or at least it kind of looked like it. But I think 0 just falls flat. I don't really care for Billy as a character. I feel like Rebecca was overstaying her welcome in this game, and it doesn't make sense that she survived that and then still comes off as like reserved in remake one. I would like to combine both games, make it like a broader experience. So instead of having two different titles remaking 0 and 1, I like to just put them together. Um, so Billy, don't really care for him. I think he should just be like a drifter, like somebody that just happens to be hitchhiking, not hitchhiking, but backpacking through the Arclight mountains. Um, Rebecca should still be Rebecca, but I would like to see her gradually go from reserved to a little bit more aggressive into the Spencer Mansion areas. Also, the supporting cast, I think we should be coming in contact with Bravo team more frequently, and also just random survivors and victims for cannon fodder. At the end of the day, it is Wesker getting data from the situation. So, I just think there should be more pressure applied in that regard. Take out the train intro from 0. I do like confined spaces. That was their take on it. But you could just get rid of that. That was just, I didn't enjoy it at all. They should focus more on the Arclay Mountains. In fact, the Bravo team should start by rolling in to, somewhere in the Arclay Mountains and the dense forest to investigate what's going on, and that's your starting point, and they get broken up instead of them just having a helicopter crash. They should be working together to survive, but they're panicking, they're paranoid. There is a ruse going on between Wesker setting up everything and people being hired hands like Barry. So to start off, I like to see tampering of gear and stuff like that to even make the odds go against them more, because I don't think that was really emphasized that much as it could have been. Should definitely be a lush and dense rural mountain valley type situation. My bad, I lost my place. I have some notes here. I took. Um, yeah, I think the Spencer Mansion definitely in there because you're combining both the experiences. You could cut away a lot of the like facilities and stuff like that that they had in Zero, and just kind of make it like the rural aspects of the world. So like Arklay Mountains, forest, and of course the mansion. Instead of the guardhouse, make it more like security barracks and extended lab. Because you gotta remember that since you're combining them, you have more characters at play, and they're gonna be crossing paths. Is what I would like to see. So Bravo Squad fighting to survive, confused, tired, and divided slash paranoid, and they're like pushing towards surviving, but they're just digging a deeper hole because the odds are against them. So then, of course, Alpha Team goes in to see what's going on, and that's where Chris and Jill and the rest of their team takes part. I think there should be destructible environments, um, like of course, you know, walls and stuff like that. You should be able to put up barricades. Well, certain characters should, and barricades should be able to be knocked down. That other survivors that worked for Umbrella on the grounds, in the forest and stuff like that. Um, I think the gameplay should still be third person, but it should play like more in the direction of Resident Evil 4 Remake. That is a very good iteration of Resident Evil in the RE engine. I think we're kind of past the OG tank controls. Resident Evil 1 on PlayStation is my favorite, but I'm kind of I could go back and play that whenever. I just want a overall way darker tone. I want it to be more like a simulation of survival horror, not as I don't know. I don't want to say arcadey, but I think it should be more of a slow burn, a little bit slower tempo, way more of a challenge. I don't think they should be like making this game like very easy to pick up. Of course, you have those difficulties, but I would like to see it for like seasoned players of the franchise for it to really be a challenge. Um, let's see. Of course, the main mechanics of Resident Evil have always been tension. So, like in the old games, you didn't have a lot of control over your character. In fact, you just, tank controls. You couldn't really aim precisely. I think it would be better if, with them being, well, your characters being elite task force, that some people are better with weaponry or firearms or CQC melee weapons than others. I think that should probably have to, take your time with your shots to have better accuracy and a better chance of critical hits. Not to say you like necessarily one hit kill somebody with a 9mm weapon. When depending on what you're fighting, like if you're fighting a hunter or a tyrant, I don't think it's really going to do too much damage as opposed to if you have like obviously like I don't know, sawed-off shotgun with slugs, Yeah, also like when you think of like Resident Evil 4, you had hordes of people coming at you all at different speeds from different angles. You couldn't like move all like crazy free, but that's what it was. That tension was still coming at you, and you still had limited control, but it was over the shoulder, and it worked. So I think that'll be pretty good. I think that if you're aggroing, like if you're just shooting, just to get out of a situation, of course your shots are going to be more sloppy. So again, you should have to focus your shots, and you don't want to be wasting ammo. I think that your resources should really be, especially on higher difficulties, they're going to be a lot lower. Um, and enemies take more damage depending on class of firearm and type of melee. So, like your starting knife that you would get, it'll buy you time, allow you to evade, but you need to find another, kind of like four, but there's not a whole bunch of them. So there truly aren't a lot of them, and they do degrade over time. But also, of course, because it's a knife, if you do all knife run, it's not going to take out higher class enemies because it's just a knife. It's again, ballistics should really play a part in the damage you do. Again, with coming across other stars members or survivors, I think you should be able to get resources from them or give them, and to help you in standoffs, but also leave you with less resources. I think I was talking about Billy being like a hiker, so he should start with kind of like a space buff because he's got like some type of hike pack throughout his playthrough, and he should be able to craft from scrap and stuff he's found or salvage from busted gear on the playthrough or from busted firearms. For instance, we know that there is the broken shotgun. I think there should be a lot more broken weapons that you can't utilize, but in Billy's case, he can use them. So let's say Billy finds a broken firearm that can't be brought back to proper use. He can scrap it, but that might be something that another character like Jill would need to get the shotgun in the Spencer Mansion. I'm sure they could like work out those details or whatever. Oh yeah, so again with the scrap stuff, I think he should be able to set like kind of like booby traps for enemies, right? So like your stalker types, like Crimson Heads and Hunters, they should be the stalker type enemies. They're not as fast as and agile as they were originally, but they're strong, of course, and they actually stalk you throughout the woods or the forest, the mansion, whatever have you. So like if you get wounded, right, and you're trying to use your herbs and stuff, well, I think bleeding out should also be a factor. Again, I'm thinking more like simulation. So if you're not tending to bleeding wounds, they're going to be able to sense that, and it's going to have them on your trail more aggressively, I would say. And so that's where that setting of traps can like slow down foes and also hinder other characters on their playthrough. I think Rebecca should be able to, continue to manipulate healing items and chemicals as she's done between 0 and 1, but she should also be able to reproduce smaller amounts of ammo types. So, like, the different types of grenade rounds, because she's used to dealing with chemicals, and again, she's part of the STARS members, which is Elite Task Force. I think Chris should be a little bit more tanky, so he takes more damage, as to where Billy took more damage in 0. But he has less space out of all 4 characters. Between Billy, Rebecca, Chris, and Jill, he has the less space, the least amount of space, but he's more proficient in firearms and CQC, or utilization of knives. Jill, of course, keep the master lockpick situation, but I think her skills should be her added skill should be like she can open the lesser lock doors, so she doesn't need like the small keys and stuff. But she can also um, permanently seal off access to certain doors and stuff, thus shutting down certain routes you can take. Yeah, get rid of the character swap of items and being able to drop the items. I think that bloats zero a lot, and it was just I didn't like that. There should still be item boxes, but they should have limited space, and there should be caches um, that you can get access to for a little bit of resources, whether it be health or ammo, or you can leave it for other characters. Again, both games are in a single title, so larger experience. For those that want to speed run, of course, you can speed run any game, but I think the idea is to just really take the zapping system from two, the original two, and I think we all know that it didn't make a return in the remake of two, but I think they should definitely put it in this title and evolve it, like just expound on it greatly. Um, Combining these two games is perfect for it. So what Billy and Rebecca do affect not only Bravo team members throughout your playthrough or path, but it can also help or hinder alphas and vice versa. So there should be multiple possibilities of a gameplay tree between the different uh, interactions you come across between the Alpha team, Bravo team members, the survivors that are just that have lived long enough throughout the environment. So whether it's in the Spencer Mansion or the labs, whatever have you, and it doesn't have to be like anything gigantic. I'm just saying, like, how Resident Evil 2, there were two scenarios for each character. So if you have four characters, should just be like eight different scenarios, but things you do throughout the course of your playthrough, can just help you out or hinder it, like make it tougher for you and stuff. So I wouldn't think too hard on it. I would say it's like, like, I don't want to reference Dead Rising, but it's another Capcom game, and you can only do so much. As far as I know from me playing it, you can only focus on so much at a time. So if you don't do certain things, then you can't finish like the main mission or whatever have you. But you're supposed to strive to see everything, right? So just basically like 8 different scenarios, so 2 per person. Um, Definitely there should be harder zombies by the single or small numbers. So like you get like 2 zombies in the area, 3. But I think there should also be miniature hordes, because again, I'm thinking like bigger environments. So like you're in the mountains, starting off as a Bravo team, as to where with the Alpha team, you're more closer to the mansion and the surrounding facilities, And I think that through the different scenarios, of course, the starting positions will swap around and stuff like that. I already talked about the the Crimson Heads and the Hunters being stalkers. I think the overall sound design, they gotta get rid of these soft sounding gunshots. Like I played Remake. RE2 was cool, but I just think that the firearms really need to like have punch and really good sound to them, and the sound should resonate. Like you should hear gunshots throughout the forest, or through walls in the mansion. et cetera, et cetera. You should hear people screaming, right? Or their pleas, like trying to get out of situations and stuff like that. Sound should be like top notch, state of the art in terms of this title. Of course, the better the firearm class, like a shotgun type, of course, it should resonate or have more oomph to it. But also firing off those weapons can kind of draw the attention of nearby foes towards you. I think zombies again should be able to push down doors or bust them open, windows and stuff like that. I would like to see a lot more of that. And I think that more freshly turned zombies can actually turn the knob and open them. Um, let's see. In terms of the horror, the atmosphere, focus on the atmosphere being top notch with like fog and stuff like that, rain, it just visually being stunning, the freshness of certain aspects of areas within the mansion, because it is a mansion after all, but also the decrepitness of certain areas like basements and stuff, dank, dark, musty type stuff, flooding, fire damage, stuff like that. Let's see. More gore. Fatalities should definitely be back upon death, and like brutal injuries from stuff like environmental hazards, so like the danger of electrocution. You can electrocuted to death. I like to see stuff like the zombies that can vomit, but them like getting a hold of you, pushing, getting on top of you, and you're fighting to get them off of you, and then they like vomit on you, or they're like, you're fighting with them, and the zombies, they're decaying matter, so their entrails are like spilling on you and stuff like that, giving you more damage. I would like to see stuff like that. Definitely a way darker tone than we've seen any of the games, with them being, the first iterations of it. More reactions to the environment. So like your characters or any of the characters, you're in a room with full of death or something, or when they you're going around the environment checking it out, and then you usually see words instead of reading what's going on. The characters should react to it visually, physically, and audibly. Like they should give off signs of distress, fatigue, and stuff like that. It should just be more animations in terms of that and sound. I would like to see consumption of stuff like herbs. So, whether they're topically putting it on them or, it's always in like rolling papers, it looks like. So, why not smoke it? Just more of an adult themed horror product. I think it should be more of a simulation again of the situation as an elite task force member under this pressure in this situation, and not so, I don't know, action. Not, I don't want to say actiony, but more. There's different shades of Resident Evil. You got like Resident Evil 3 remake where you got a vocal Jill, and she's all like G.I. Jane-ish, I could do anything type situation, cracking jokes and stuff. I think it should just be more of a slow burn, more serious tone. I don't know. In terms of hours that the game could be, several hours. Like I just want a total experience that, again, what you do per character amongst survivors and stuff like that should definitely influence stuff. I'm not saying it should be like a super bloated game, because that's something I did not like about Zero. I was just like playing it. I just beat it just now. I'm like, man, when's this game gonna end? I was playing on hard. I only beat it on regular before, but yeah, that game was just too bloated. A lot of the areas looked the same. They didn't have any pizzazz, any oomph to them. A beautiful game, but it didn't showcase, uh, in my opinion, it didn't showcase a lot of its strengths visually because a lot of the stuff just kind of looked the same. Again, we're talking about uh, like international conglomerates that have dumped a lot of money into scientific research or biological uh, warfare research and stuff like that. So I like to see more like Marble and stuff like that. Um, more exotic things in certain areas, but like stuff like the labs, I don't think the labs should be, all shiny and stuff like a Resident Evil 2 remake. I mean, that was a cool iteration, but I would like to see a more like dark, gritty, just like or you think lab, it should be like not one visual approach to it. It should have layers to it, like Resident Evil 2. Those labs were really good. Like there were parts of it that were like really dark. There were parts that were lit up. There were parts that were being taken over by the ivy, like in the structure and stuff like that. And just subtle things, touches put on the environments like that, just add so much character and atmosphere to it. So I don't want to make this like a 30-minute video or whatever, or a rant, but this is just some things I was thinking about.